All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the KingSmith podcast. With me, Zach King, and
some weirdo Nathan Smith.
come on, Nathan, we're both weirdos.
Yeah, I know.
So, Nathan, what have we got today on the podcast?
Absolutely jack nothing.
I have a question, Nathan.
What's your question?
What is your favorite book of the Bible?
Oh, favorite book of the Bible.
You can't say the Bible because that's...
Yeah, I know, that's cheating. Well, one of my favorite passages is in Job.
Uh-huh.
I also like Philippians.
Right.
And I'm a sucker for Revelation, just like all of other Christians are. Yeah. I can't say just one. I think I'd have to stick with the top three.
Yeah.
Job, Philippians, Revelation.
Exodus is one of my favorites, you know? Especially the...
It's all plaguey.
Yeah. Especially the power God puts on display.
Yeah.
And in the plagues. And again, I think we agree that Job is a pretty dope book.
Job's pretty great, especially the last couple chapters.
Yeah, the last couple chapters where God's like, hey,
stupid.
hey, stupid, you're being stupid. Stop being stupid. And,
Yep.
I mean, I can't say any of the Gospels because, you know, that's just a given. You know?
No, pretty much. Yeah.
Hosea is up there too, you know? That's a pretty good one.
Hosea is, yeah. Well, the interesting thing with Hosea was that God told him what was going to happen.
Right.
Like, but the book itself was less about Hosea and his wife and more about
the relationship between
God and man.
God and man.
God and Israel, really, at that point in
God
time.
and Israel.
That's the interesting thing about it.
And of course, you know, I love to rag on Jonah, God's saltiest prophet.
Man. That man. Imagine seeing God work and then completely ignoring it.
Right. Well,
I mean, he wanted that place to burn after they turned to Christ.
right.
I guess turned to God. They didn't know who Christ was at that point.
Not at that point, but they repented is the...
That's the gist of it.
Yeah.
Freaking Jonah.
That's why God is so mad at him at the end there when he says, you're mad because the plant died and yet you expect me to kill all these people and animals and...
You're feeling pretty blue. The rest of that song is copyrighted. We can't sing it.
But yes, God is a God of second chances. And third chances.
Hey, don't
and fourth.
7 times 70 times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the point there was not literally 7 times 70 because that's 140. Right? Wait, no, that's wrong. 49, 490.
Yeah, 490. Yeah.
Wait, hold up. No, my math is out. I'm bad with multiplication, okay? It is 40. Okay, I was right. 490.
Give us a minute, folks. We are experiencing some technical difficulties.
We are Bible people, not math people.
Yeah. Yeah, I know in the first episode we said we both like sports. And we talked... Slightly. And we both talked about football a whole lot during the episode. And
yes, we did, Mr. USFL.
Mr. USFL?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, Nathan, the XFL started up under the ownership of one very rocky person.
Wait, XFL, I don't think it started yet. Has it? We're not very smart people.
We're not very smart people.
We're kind of stoop. Why did I load Safari? Nobody uses Safari.
Yep, it's week 2.
Oh my gosh. I'm just massive stupid today.
Oh, okay.
I know. That's different than any normal day.
please bear with us, folks.
Me with the dial-up music that's going on in my brain right now.
We are selective stupid. We aren't stupid all the time, but when we are...
Selective?
Okay.
It's 24/7, bro. What you talking about?
Well, it's not 24/7. You're not being stupid when you sleep.
You don't know that.
Fair enough.
Welcome to the podcast where two dudes just talk because we're bored.
Yeah.
We're coming to you on a Sunday afternoon at about 2:15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, what did we talk about this morning, though?
Oh, what did we talk about this morning, Nathan?
We talked about spiritual gifts.
And where do you stand on that today, Nathan?
Where do I stand with it? Not with anybody, because everybody's wrong. That's what we all say, right? No, I stand with what the word says. Definitely moderately cessationist. The only reason why I don't buy into the full-on cessationist stuff is because that's almost like saying that God doesn't and can't use certain gifts, which I can't go ahead and say that. Especially with the sign gifts. Look, I get it. It's not used as much, if at all, compared to what it was 2,000 years ago. But to say that God won't use something or won't do something,
that it's gone.
I can't buy that. So I can't buy into that.
I'd say I agree with you mostly, you know. I can't buy into God just completely ignoring tools that he has, you know?
Yeah.
Now, does he use them as dramatically as he did, you know, in the time of the Gospels, in the times of the Old Testament?
Like, no.
No. Because when was the last time you went and saw a sea parted, like it did in Exodus?
Right. When's the last time you saw people in front of you getting healed?
Right. And, like, especially here in America, where we are in Kansas City,
mm-hmm.
and in a large portion of the West, and, like, all around the world, we have, in terms of healing, because you just mentioned it, mm-hmm. we have modern technology that is miles ahead of where they were 2,000 years ago.
Oh, by far and away, yes.
Yeah, because they didn't have machines that could literally keep comatose people alive.
Yeah.
They didn't have machines that could restart someone's heart whenever you wanted them to.
Yeah, there's been a number of advances just in who we are as people. The Lord allowed us to have those advances. Therefore, it makes some things kind of redundant.
Right.
But also, God's the ultimate healer. He is the ultimate... he just is.
He just is the ultimate. Yeah.
But if he wants somebody to be healed, they're going to get healed.
Yeah.
Whether by means of miracle or by means of... And miracles can be performed through medicine too, don't get me wrong. But the venue that he uses for it doesn't matter. It's going to happen if he wills it to happen.
Yeah.
So.
The only one I would say that I would be like a strong cessationist on is the gift of tongues. Or a bit stronger, I should say. Not.
Yeah.
I would say that God is not miraculously giving people the ability to speak in another language, like he did the day of Pentecost in Acts 2. But,
or Acts 8 or 10 or 11.
Or just anywhere in Acts.
Right.
But does that mean people don't have a natural affinity for learning language?
And I look at that too, and it could be that, gifts exist for spreading the gospel and for the edification of the body.
Right.
So when something is no longer edifiable for the body or doesn't spread the gospel, then it's probably not going to get used, because at that point you're being a stumbling block.
Right.
So that's where the technicality comes in. But I think the bigger thing that really sparks the debate is the charismatic movement.
Yeah. And there are people in the charismatic movement who are brothers and sisters.
Oh, a lot of them are.
A lot of them are.
A lot of them are mistaken, but they're there.
They're mistaken, yes. They're there. But they're there. I think it's 1 Corinthians 14 where Paul says, hey, speaking in tongues, you have to...
Well, I've got it here.
That's... Give us a moment while we both...
1 Corinthians 14, I think 20-something.
You never guess. Dude, I opened my Bible, and the first book I opened to was Jonah.
My guy. He obviously didn't read this, but yeah. 1 Corinthians 14, verse 27, if anyone speaks in a tongue, it should be by two or at the most three, and each in turn, and one must interpret. But if there's no interpreter, he must keep silent in the church and let him speak to himself and to God.
So...
And there's further on a theme of two or three. Well, really throughout the Bible there's a theme of two or three. Where there are two witnesses. If you look in verse 28, if 29, let two or three prophets speak and let others pass judgment. There's definitely
a precedent for it.
Precedent and instruction for tongues and prophecy and all of that. What do you think about that, Zach?
What do I think about what? Give me a moment. Precedent.
Biblical precedent.
I think we should follow the biblical precedent.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So...
But do a lot of churches who claim to use tongues do that?
No.
Nope.
These people who speak in tongues are... They're yelling in gibberish.
Oh, it's bad.
Or, as I like to call it, speaking toddler.
Pretty much.
The only one who's going to understand you is a 2-year-old.
Pretty much.
Even then, they might say, you just insulted my mother. The heck, bro. But it's gibberish. It's toddler speak before they learn any language.
Yeah. Yeah.
What 1 Corinthians 14 points out is just by having an interpreter there, it means it is an established language.
Yeah, somebody's got to understand.
Somebody's got to be there to understand and interpret.
And if there's... It's got to be a language. But also... You have to look at the definition of language. So... Language is anything that can be interpreted and explained, okay?
There's language and computer code. I heard once that DNA is a sort of a language.
It is a language.
Yeah.
And it can be interpreted, it can be understood and read.
Yeah.
Even if somebody is making up a language on the spot, If
Which I've known several people like make up
who have
language.
tried, yeah.
Who have tried.
But even if the language is just coming out and for whatever reason it just is, if it's interpretable, by definition, it's a language.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, the gift, gifts can change. Gifts can come and go. God wills gifts as he pleases. Maybe the gift of tongues has changed into a gift of translation.
Gift of translation, gift of
abilities.
Yeah, and the ability to learn a language easier. I know at least 2 or 3 people who have learned 4 or 5 languages by the time they're 18.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's
and can speak them all fluently. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible what God enables people to do. But you go to the healing stuff too, like faith healing and all of that. Like the point of the gifts wasn't so that you could go around and make money off of people. The point of the gifts was to both edify the body and to share the gospel. But if you're not doing that, then you're either misusing gifts or you're just not using gifts at all. And you're making something up, which I'm sorry, Benny Hinn. I'm sorry, IHOP Church. That ain't right. You're not healing anybody. You probably know it too, but I don't know, man.
All right. And then there's the other offshoot of the prosperity gospel.
Oh, don't even get me started.
Which I know both of us could go on forever, but we'll try to keep it controlled for the listeners out there.
Yeah, I won't talk about Joel Osteen too much.
Oh my gosh, that dude is an idiot.
No, he's not. No. He's not an idiot. He's smart because he's
smart. He just talks like an idiot.
He's business smart. He's not Christian smart. He's business smart. He knows how to make money off of people.
And I think verse 29 saying let 2 or 3 prophets speak kind of speaks to this. He's like standing, but guys like Joel Osteen are standing there like, if you give us money, God will bless you and bless you and bless you and bless you and all that junk.
That is not how that works.
No. They just want to get rich. I know several of them have private jets they fly around on. Several of them have...
Kenneth Copeland bought a jet from Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
And then he said he had to buy it. I was like, what?
No.
Ken Copeland. Have you seen the Kenneth Copeland soundboard?
I have. It's hilarious.
It is maybe the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah, you showed me that yesterday.
I mean, seriously, you guys have got to hear this.
It's freaking hilarious.
I can't even with this guy.
Oh.
It's on 101soundboards.com. And let me turn up the volume here. I mean, literally, you just go to it, and then I found it on Google. You can just click on stuff.
I execute judgment on you, Satan!
I mean, seriously, this is...
Of the prophet of God, the Prince of Peace takes his place.
I mean, seriously, this is just... It sounds...
I messed us up.
Like that. It kind of...
Yeah. And, well, and again, we're not saying that God cannot use prophecy.
No.
You pointed out something interesting today about, preaching is also a sort of prophecy, right?
Yeah, preaching and teaching is a part of prophecy by technicality.
By technicality, right. But when I refer to prophecy, I always think of the prophets who speak doom on Israel in the Old Testament, and of course, Revelation. And I don't think anybody is going to have that kind of prophecy.
No.
Just kind of... And, oh my
Of
God.
the prophet of God?
Yeah, no.
No, Kenneth.
There's this one video...
I'm keeping this online.
Yeah. There's this one video out there of Joel Osteen's wife, whatever her name is. I think it's like Olivia or something like that. So we'll just call her Mrs. Olstein.
Yeah.
And she's saying God just wants you to be happy. God doesn't care what you do and if it makes you happy. And then it cuts to Bill Cosby saying that is the dumbest crap I've ever heard.
Oh, man. What did she say a few years back? She said, you don't do things for God. You do this for yourself.
I know, right?
I'm trying to find it. It's... Oh, here it is.
We probably shouldn't play it on the podcast.
Oh, yeah, I guess it is a little... Well, wait, hold on. Let me get the captions up. Oh, I think this is it. I think this is the super clip.
Uh-huh.
We're doing it for ourselves because God takes pleasure when we're happy. That's the thing that gives him the greatest joy.
Oh my gosh.
You didn't know this morning?
I can't listen to this crap anymore. I can't do it. I can't stomach it. You know what? You know what?
You destroyer! You killer! You get out! You break your power! You get off this nation!
That's what I say to that.
Victoria Olstein. That's
Yeah, that was Victoria. I can't listen to any of that.
Does God want us to be happy?
He don't care. Okay, no, he does care. But
He does care.
But
I would say, yes, he wants us to be happy. But not in the way she's talking about.
yeah, she doesn't want us to be just like, oh, hey, this is the problem with, I don't want to say the problem with American culture, maybe Western civilization, but how do I even word it, Zach? That's the problem with people today. I mean, imagine going to a third world country and preaching what prosperity gospel preaches to them. I mean seriously, it's give me money, give me money, give me money, and God will make you better. God will give you finances. God will give you wealth. The only thing that they're doing is stealing from the poor. I mean, seriously, that's the only thing that they're doing, or would be doing. And even in America, the people who are in the poverty rate give to these organizations thinking their life is going to turn around, and then it doesn't. And it makes
their life kind of worse because they're giving their money to these people. And
well, and how do you think that's a representation of God?
No.
It's not.
My mind goes to Romans 6, 1 and 2.
Oh, yes.
What shall we say then? Are we to continue in sin so that grace may increase? May it never be.
Meganoita. That's a super no.
How shall we who died to sin still live in it? Listen, y'all, if God truly wanted us to be happy, he wouldn't have provided the opportunity for us to get saved.
Whoa.
Think about it. Because
I am thinking about it.
what's our original nature, Nathan?
Oh, sin nature. What we're born with is what you're asking?
Yeah, what we're born with.
We got
our
sin nature all the way.
birth nature. So, what would make us happy?
Sinning.
So, in that way,
Wow.
God
That's a good point.
God would never have sent Jesus.
Oh, man.
God would never have promised a redeemer. Genesis 3, God would never have promised a redeemer if he just wanted us to be happy. Because he would have known that if our happiness is what mattered above all else to him, he would have been, okay.
You blew my brain with that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be, if God truly just wanted us to be happy, as soon as Adam and Eve ate of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil in Genesis 3, God would have said, okay, I'm going to leave you.
My goodness, dude. That was incredible.
And
that's one of the best points I've ever heard anyone make.
And let me make another thing here. Mm-hmm. If he did send the Redeemer, if Jesus did come, Jesus would have not been preaching the coming kingdom. He would have said, hey, I'm just here to free you of the punishment.
Right. Oh, man. That's an incredible point, dude.
And guess what?
Oh, man.
I am not strictly a Calvinist,
I'm probably 3 points, depending on what side of the bed I wake up in the morning.
Yeah. Total depravity, yes.
Gotta be. Yeah.
Perseverance of the saints, yes.
Yes.
Those two are unquestionable. It's the other three I have a problem with.
It's the stuff in the middle.
Limited atonement. You're putting a limit on God. Stop. You are actively saying...
Hey, limited atonement.
I call you done.
There you go.
Stop it. Irresistible grace. This is where I'm gonna get into a bit of. I think, yes, irresistible grace and the other one.
TULIP. Total depravity. The U always gets me.
You always gets me. Limited atonement.
I know I never remember it. Unconditional election.
Unconditional election.
Limited atonement, and then irresistible grace, and then the perseverance of the saints.
Unlimited.
No.
Unlimited election.
Yeah.
And
unconditional election.
Unconditional election, and irresistible grace. Do I believe that God knew who would choose to be saved?
Yeah.
He foreknew them? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that those who ultimately don't choose to be saved can't be saved? No.
No.
Because John 3:16, for God so loved the world, not it. For God so loved the elect.
Yeah, that's a pretty key difference.
Yeah.
You got to read the rest of John too, because it gives you way more context. I think John Calvin makes a lot of good points.
Yep.
I just think he was mistaken in some spots. I think he's going to be in heaven though.
Do I think that once you hear the Bible message, or if God wants you saved, you'll get saved?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if
everything is Christ ordained.
Right.
So that's where things get a little screwy.
But it's these three, limited atonement we've already just tossed out the window. But
yeah, limited atonement, no way.
Unconditional election and irresistible grace. That is the interaction, or the intersection, I should say, of God's sovereignty and man's free will.
Yeah. Dude, you are hitting it today.
That is the intersection between those two things.
Bruh, you are smacking it out of the park.
I believe that, yes, if God wants you saved, honestly, there's really nothing you can do but delay the inevitable.
Yeah.
However, you can still choose to reject God.
Oh, yeah. People do, actively. Anyone who's an atheist rejects God, chooses the choice to reject God. Anyone in the future who takes the mark of the beast has chosen to reject God.
Right. And even some people who are...
Look at Judas.
Yeah. Even some people who are part of the elect, right now are choosing to reject God. If you think about it.
You mean like people who are... Ooh, that brings up an interesting topic. So what do you think about Christians people who are saved and then a few years down the road say, never mind. Do you think they were ever saved? Or are they still saved? They're just living in disobedience.
One, my first thought is, of course, my first question actually is, yes, are they truly saved? If they're living a disobedient lifestyle, are they saved? And
here's the thing: which of us lives an obedient lifestyle to Christ?
None.
There you go.
And here's another thing: just because this goes to perseverance of the saints.
Yeah.
The last part of the tulip.
Yeah.
If they were truly saved, like truly made truly said the prayer, truly meant the prayer, truly made that commitment.
Yep.
And yes, folks, it is a commitment.
It's a commitment.
Because several Bible writers, like several New Testament writers, like Paul calls the church the bride of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind. Yeah. But so if they are saved, there is nothing on this earth. There is nothing in Satan's power that he can do to remove.
No, there's nothing he can do.
You from God's grasp, from Jesus' grasp.
No, there ain't nothing that he can do.
That being said, the question is, were they truly saved?
That's a pretty big question. A lot of people have that question.
And a camp counselor of mine one year said he had his doubts that he was saved.
Ooh.
And so he told me he constantly said, like, redid the prayer every few months at a point in his life. He said he's like, every few months I say the prayer again, just be like, God, forgive me of my sins, save me,
Right. Assurance of salvation is something that people need to realize that they have.
Yeah.
If you declare with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, you're saved, and there's nothing that there's nothing anyone can do to take you out of that.
I wouldn't say declaring that Jesus is Lord.
Yeah.
Because the demons know that Jesus is Lord.
I see what you're saying.
If you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart.
If you actually believe it.
Yeah.
As a human. I mean, it's different for angels and demons because the angels and demons made their choice. They saw God.
Right.
They should have known better. The demons should have known better. I think that's why they got sent to hell.
Right. It's because they were in the presence of God. So
not saying that we necessarily weren't. However,
we deserve hell.
We deserve hell.
Right.
Somebody asked, this is a few years back, somebody asked R.C. Sproul, how is the question worded? This is how the question was worded. If God was so gracious and so merciful, how come the punishment on Adam and Eve was so severe?
To quote R.C. Sproul, what's wrong with you people?
Yeah.
That's what's his...
What is wrong with you people?
That is R.C. Sproul's first response.
Mm-hmm. And that's absolutely the correct response to have.
My first response would have been like, why wasn't it more severe?
Why didn't we go straight to the pit as soon as we even touched the apple?
Well, Adam and Eve. Side note, I'm probably going to side-eye them as I come into heaven because... at least Adam, because he kind of messed this whole thing up.
Yeah, I mean...
Just side-eye him, don't say anything. Just be like, you know what you did.
Yeah, there's a little bit more forgiveness than that. I mean, we've all messed up.
Oh, yeah, and I'm not saying that...
And I think we all would have made the same mistake.
Yeah. I'm not saying that if I wasn't in Adam's proverbial shoes, because they weren't wearing clothes at the time...
I mean, seriously, God could have come down there as soon as they took a bite, as soon as Eve took a bite, or Adam, either of the two, it don't matter. He could have come down and said... Exactly.
Okay. Here's the question.
Thank you, Kenneth Copeland.
Was it the eating of the fruit that was the sin, or was it the choice to eat the fruit?
It was the choice. It's absolutely the choice.
So when we choose to sin, we've already sinned.
Yes. When we choose to sin, when we have it on our mind set to sin, we've already sinned. It's like when Jesus told the Pharisees that when you look at a woman with lust, committing the actual sin of adultery is adultery, but even looking at a woman with that desire, you've already made the choice. The only thing that's holding you back is the physical action. Therefore, since you've made that decision, you've already sinned.
Right. And we see David, King David.
Yeah, he made the same choice.
He made that choice.
And he went through with it.
And he went through with it.
And he made a lot of mistakes with that whole series of events.
Yeah. And, okay, Nathan the prophet,
Not me.
dude, not Nathan Smith, Nathan the prophet.
Standing in the office.
Nathan the prophet from I think
Sorry.
that was 2 Samuel.
Yeah, it is 2 Samuel, yeah.
Yeah, it's 2 Samuel. Nathan the prophet had massive amounts of courage, I'll say.
Yeah, he did. He went and confronted them to his face.
See, and he was smart about it too. He's like, "Hey, King, let me tell you a story." Told him a story.
Hey,
And David was like, David got all up
you
in
are
arms.
the man.
David got all up in arms about the sheep that was the one lamb that was slain.
Mm-hmm.
And Nathan
And
was
here's
like,
his response.
I execute judgment on you, Satan.
exactly. And guess what? Guess what Nathan did? Nathan tricked him a little bit. He's like, Nathan was there in the king's, throne room. And he's like, hey King David, guess what? That guy who stole the lamb is you.
It's you, buddy.
And it wrecked David.
Oh, it wrecked David. Because he knew he messed up.
Yep.
And he even mentions that in the Psalms.
Yep.
But, another thing. Ahithophel is the true tragedy.
Ahithophel? Remind me of that real quick.
The story of Ahithophel, and I think it's also in 2 Samuel, but Ahithophel was David's chief advisor.
Mm-hmm.
He stood by his side for years, and then all of a sudden it's like he got wrote out of the book.
Right.
Well, the reason why is if you look at the genealogy of Bathsheba was actually Ahithophel's granddaughter.
Really?
Yeah. So not only was this a sin against God and a sin against Uriah,
Who he sinned against again by
killing him,
by conspiring to commit murder by way of
abusing his power.
Abuse of power and frontline warfare.
Yeah. But David abused his power, and then not only was the sin against Uriah and God, it was also sin against Ahithophel, because Ahithophel was the grandfather of Bathsheba. And that's why you see, I think it's the treachery of Absalom.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who was Absalom's chief advisor 10 years after everything went down? Ahithophel. And Absalom did some damage, don't get me wrong. Absalom did some damage, but then Ahithophel was so bitter at David that he committed suicide.
Mm-hmm.
He committed suicide because of his bitterness. Plot twist, that's what bitterness can do.
Yeah. Y'all, Nathan, you mentioned the Pharisees, and Jesus had an interesting relationship with the Pharisees now, didn't he? I choose the word interesting.
Interesting is the right word.
Yes. Like, again...
Yeah.
I think, again, going back to this morning, a passage you used, John, I think it was the one in John, you people need miracles.
John 4.
John 4, yeah.
John 4:48. Yeah, John 4:48 says, so Jesus says to him, this is the royal guard that came to, or the royal official that came to Jesus asking to heal his kid. Jesus says to him, unless you people see the signs and wonders, you simply will not believe. And then later on, the son is healed.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean...
Yeah. And he basically did the same thing to the Pharisees. Said the same thing to the Pharisees. He's just like...
Yeah.
Jesus had some great one-liners with the Pharisees.
Oh, he did.
He called them a brood of vipers.
Hey, let me ask though, are we any better?
No.
Most days...
But...
I mean, give me one day that we haven't sinned.
Right. But Nathan, to whom much is given, much is required.
Oh, I know.
The scribes, the Pharisees, the Sadducees...
They should know better.
The Herodians, which were...
Heretics.
Heretics, yeah. Dave... Again, Jesus called them not only a brood of vipers, but a fancy cup with, a fancy cup that was empty.
Right.
And a whitewashed tomb.
You whitewashed tombs. Pretty sure that's a quote from Lecrae.
Uh-huh.
It's a great song, by the way.
Mm-hmm. But Jesus was calling the Pharisees, the religious leadership out.
Oh, he was?
Last year, Nathan, if you remember, I think it was like August or early September.
Sure.
And youth group, we talked about Jesus' choosing of the 12.
Oh, yes, we did. I believe you. I think you actually gave that one.
Yeah. Jesus' choosing of his initial 12 disciples, and of course the two spares.
The two spares, yeah.
We don't talk about Matthias that much because the Bible doesn't talk about him.
The Bible doesn't really bring up Matthias much.
It just says they casted lots and then landed on Matthias, so they made him part of it.
Yep.
So Matthias is here.
Yeah, Matthias just kind of shows up and then just kind of disappears.
Which is
fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Obviously, God had plans for him, and God used him, and
oh yeah,
in the ways He wanted to.
100%.
But the other 13 are interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know why?
What?
Only one of them was a religious leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, only one of them was a religious leader.
One of them was a religious leader.
One, like 4 of them were fishermen.
Yeah.
The sons of Thunder and Peter and his brother James. It's not James. Peter and his brother.
Yeah.
I'll remember it later. Andrew.
I was gonna say Andrew was
Peter's brother.
I was trying to remember too. We don't hear much about Andrew.
We don't hear much about Andrew.
Hardly hear anything about Philip or nothing, except for like the one time God demolished him.
Jesus demolished the disciples on a regular basis, though.
Okay, Peter needed it. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So we got 4 fishermen, Peter and Andrew, and the Sons of Thunder.
Yeah.
A zealot.
Yeah, we have a zealot in there.
Simon was a zealot.
That would kind of make some awkwardness.
Especially with a tax collector.
They didn't like each other, man.
They probably didn't like each other.
Tells you something about what God has to say on bitterness, huh?
Right. A zealot, a tax collector, and let's see, that's 6, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And the others weren't very educated. So Saul of Tarshish, who through the qualification process became Paul of Tarshish.
Yeah, he barely made it. He barely made it through.
The only one. All right. But yeah.
That's cool, dude.
That's just a little bit about the relationship Jesus had with the Pharisees, which was not good.
No. Well, not good on their side. Ooh, great on God's angle. All right, we need to wrap up. We got to head out here pretty soon.
Yeah, we
got people coming over. We got youth group things tonight. So, hey, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of KingSmith. We hope to see you whenever the next time we see you is. And, yeah.
Peace.
Deuces.